Hello everybody. Excuse me a second. Right. Hello. I'll just spot something on here. Spider. I'm gonna need to clean that up at some point. Okay. Right. Let's see. The last video clip, if I remember right, the last video clip you'll have seen on me on this project would have been me polishing a lot the front face of the number thing. Now, what I'll say is, at the moment, it is looking like this, right? However, I have just done, I've done quite a bit of work on it, and I didn't record it on purpose. Because once I'd finished doing all the polishing yesterday, the resin just was not coming up as shiny. It was still very hazy, and that's not how it should be looking. So I was thinking about it overnight and a bit today, and decided that because I'd put a lot of polish on it, anything that I was going to do with this would need all of that polish coming off, and there's only really one way I know how to do that, and that was to sand it. So basically what I've been doing today is I've kind of gone back to the start of the sort of finishing process on this. So what I've done is I've basically gone from 180 grit sandpaper and sanded this down. Now, what I'll say is, one thing I've noticed was around the edge of the steps, whenever I'd like polished it or cleaned it or wiped it, and once it dried, around the edge of the steps, I was getting like it was a little bit shiny, but in the middle was all hazy. Same with the arrow, and there was bits on the number 2 that were doing it as well. So that was bugging me. So I tried to find out why that was, and basically what it was it wasn't level. I hadn't sanded it down level. When I'd done the sanding, I'd gone for sanding around all the edges to get those level, and then sanded the inner bits a little bit, but not enough. So basically I started today with 180 grit paper and sanded this down until I thought it was more level. And because of the different coloration on it, I was able to see the effect of what I was doing. So I was able to see, okay, yes, I'm not touching the bits around the edge until I got lower on the inner bits. So took it right back down to level. And what that did actually was give me a much better looking finish than I'd ended up with after all of the previous videos' work, right? So then what I've done is I've gone from 180 to 400 grit. Now this is all dry sanding, not wet sanding, because I've tried the wet sanding before and it didn't work for me with what I've got. So I did 400 grit, and not for long either, literally sort of just a few goes over the 2 and over the arrows, literally probably about, I don't know what, 30 seconds. So not long, and this is one thing a lot of videos haven't been showing me, is how long really you should be sanding per level of grit. Because to be honest, I've not had to do a lot, and that's the bit that's been bugging me lately, that I seem to have been doing a lot of work and not getting the result. Okay, so I went P400, give it a quick sanding, and then I actually did give it a wipe with water to clean up all the dust, the resin, basically just clean it up. So when I went to the next grit, the 800, I wasn't actually sanding on top of the dirt that I'd picked up or taken up from the previous sand, so I gave it a clean. So sorry about that. yeah, so gave it a sand with P800 and then 1000, then gave it another clean. Then went 1500 and 2000, gave it another clean, and then finally went with 3000 and then gave it another clean as well. And what I've ended up with is a much better looking surface at the moment. So it's looking better than it was anyway. Now this would be the point where really I should start polishing it, but that's where I've learnt something else, in that there's a difference between what I've been trying to use and what I should be using. Excuse me, I've been using polish because I thought that was the right thing to use. Turns out no, what I need is a polishing compound. Now personally I didn't realise there was that much of a difference until I looked into it, and then it brought back memories of some long forgotten knowledge. So basically a polishing compound is a little more, I don't know what I can say, it is grittier than normal polish. Like, so the polish that I've been using, it's a very smooth, it's just like sandpaper. Like you can have very rough or very, very, very smooth, and that's quite smooth. Well, the polishing compound is not as smooth. So what I've been doing previously is basically trying to shine up a surface that hasn't actually been smooth. So I've been trying to shine it, but it's not capable of making it shine because the surface isn't ready for it and I'm using the wrong product for it. Whereas a polishing compound, because it's that little bit grittier, any imperfections in the surface of this, that compound should be able to smooth out and deal with, because it's got that little bit of grit. Now, you're not going to feel a grit in it. Basically, it's kind of like, okay, this is water, right? And this is, what's the word? Very grit-free. Well, this polish is grittier than that, but this is smooth still, but it's not smooth as that, or whichever way it would be. So yeah, so the polishing compound is what I need, and from what I've been seeing with resin and stuff, you can use car polishing compound. Now when I was looking online some time ago, it wasn't cheap, but it's what I really need to get, because I could try polishing this again now that it's got a better surface, but if it doesn't work, I've got to take the polish off, which means I've got to sand it, and if I've got to sand it, I've then got to go through the whole process again of sanding through all of the layers, because the reason that I've learned that you have to go from, like say, 180 to 3000 is that 180 is going to smooth it off, but it's going to leave marks. The only way to get rid of those marks is to sand it, and so you use a finer sander which gets rid of the marks but still leaves some, so you have to use another one that's a bit finer to get rid of those marks. And it says basically it's a stepping process until you get to the point where you're left with no marks but it's done. And if I use the polish on it, then yeah, if it doesn't work, then I've got to start the process again. And because I'd already done the process, that is why I didn't record it today, because basically I recorded it yesterday, so it's easy for me to just explain it on this occasion. Okay, so I don't have any polishing compounds, so I've got a couple of choices. One is that I go out and get some, but money is a little bit tight at the moment, so I would need to check before I can do that. The other possibility is, and I'm not keen on doing it, is that I found in my Dremel kit that I bought is this, which is called polishing compound, but it's a solid, and I don't know if it's meant for wood, for metal, or what. So I'm not overly keen on using this, because again, if this isn't right, I've got to start again. So I'm more tempted to just go out and get some 3M polishing compound. But if that's what I'm going to do, there's nothing else I can do on this until I have done that. But what I will do is, I mean, I have given this a wipe down already. I'll give it another one, because then hopefully you'll be able to see the difference in quality of finish compared to the previous video clips. Now I am just using water to give it a clean, but it does give a much better, well, the surface is a much better finish. So as I'm cleaning it and wiping it off, it's a much smoother shine without any marks, and any marks I'm showing here, it's just a liquid, but it is a much better finish than previous. However, it is still dull, so I need to work out what I'm going to do there. So but yeah, also as this is drying, you'll notice that it's not leaving any discoloration around the edges of the steps or the edge of the tool or the edge of the arrow. It's all the same. It all looks the same, and that is a much bigger difference than I'd had before. So of all of the stuff that I'd done previously, unfortunately, I think I just simply didn't quite have things quite right. So like with the previous resin work, I was concerned about sanding down too much, when really what I needed to do was keep sanding to flat. Even though I thought I wasn't. And even though I thought I was with this, I wasn't. But that's all part of learning. You make mistakes and you learn. So yeah, so now I am going to go and try and work out, well, I need to find out how much compound's going to be, and whether I can afford to get it. And then hopefully, if I can get that done today, then I might be able to finish off my coasters. But anyway, right, I'll see you in a bit.